Deathstalker's
Back on the menu, boys!
The Roger Corman-produced franchise has a 2025 remake helmed by maybe a surprising choice, Steven Kostanski. He's most known for co-directing the horror cult hit The Void, along with other horror titles like Psycho Goreman and The Leprechaun Returns. While this is absolutely still in the sword and sorcery style, it's certainly not the same film as its 80s predecessors. Some notable general differences include no rape, no boobs. Well, no human boobs. What this film does lean heavily into is goop and creatures, and annoyingly strong color grading. It feels like just about every set piece also has an accompanying creature design that someone probably underwent hours of torture in a makeup chair to create. You get some swamp monsters, some devil beings, some otherworldly funeral workers, animated skeletons, flying eye bats, sandworms, plenty more. And a couple returning creatures from the original, I believe. And of course, in addition to that, we get all sorts of gnarly effects, blood spatters, reverse time lapses, stop motion, corpse explosions, head ripping. They're going what feels like all out for this type of spectacle. While the original is a sleazier sort of spectacle, this one is a more visceral spectacle. And there's even more assorted fun in some of the ways things are executed. There are some very fun throwback matte paintings in some backdrops and settings, and it has the occasional fun with some, dramatic match cuts and a fun wipe with a scroll being thrown, things like that. It's clearly having fun in a lot of areas. A lot of passion has gone into it. I'm not going to say all the technical work is perfect. I certainly drifted at points between being completely on board with the film and being all too aware that they're just kind of setting up set pieces in the woods. Some locations are more convincing than others. This ain't Middle-earth. It is a world that feels kind of small with little discrete chunks. It doesn't feel like it's a whole universe that's being created, to me at least. However, I think that the clear effort and love that has gone into the film makes it kind of heartwarming and easy for me to sit there and appreciate it and frequently be swept up in it. This Deathstalker is not a dark, gritty reboot. Even the more quote-unquote serious parts of the film never feel too serious due to some of the aforementioned limitations on how convincing everything is. But that's not really a problem because it's cheesy fantasy, and it's cheesy fantasy that is making jokes the whole way through. To me, that sense of humor is much better in quick-hitting moments rather than in scripted sections of dialogue. The actors are largely serviceable, but comedic delivery is really no one's strong suit here. Except maybe Paul Lazenby's small lizard sorcerer. Maybe the prince too. He crushes his brief comedy bits in his appearance. But the comedy misses aren't too bad or too frequent. And even when the movie does miss, this is the kind of movie to me where I'm not mad. It's like it's trying its best. It goes back to the movie being heartwarming. Like it gets me on its side with what it's trying to do. It feels so authentic and full of life that it still kind of wins me over even when I think it's got flaws. I'm still not to the point of thinking that flaws are assets or good things, but this movie's flaws do not generally make me dislike it. Speaking of flaws that don't make me dislike the movie, the aforementioned color grading, it just reminds me of a little bit of tinting in silent films, where that was often a way of helping audiences distinguish between locations. I'm assuming the idea of these different colors was to create a more apocalyptic look instead of having just everything being look like it's set in a forest. Sometimes it kind of makes sense to me, like making everything really navy at night, which could have also been covering day for night or something like that, of course. Or making the battlefield all brown and red. But it's all very strong, kind of annoying to me. But also this movie goes hard on everything, so I don't know. Why not go hard with color tints too? Why not? A few spoilerish details I'll touch on real quick. It's a good thing they decided to go as practical as they could, because when they do have some CG elements, they are pretty rough. I like the quality of the 3 fights between Deathstalker and that guy. Can't remember his name. Didn't write it down. They all feel very physical and weighty. Feels like the swords have weight. It feels like they're really putting a lot of force into their blows when they come together. I like the decision to go no music for most of the first fight because it kind of sets a brutish tone, I think, for the subsequent encounters as well, even though it kind of comes in the second half and then again for the other encounters. I do not think the ultimate sword weapon looks good enough. It kind of seems underwhelming when it's first shown a little earlier on. And then when he actually gets it, it's, I don't know. I guess to me it just looks kind of cheap. It's one of the casualties, I think, of cheapness in the movie. There are not a ton, I don't think. I never quite buy they might have been called Deadites. Although obviously I'm picking that up from Evil Dead, but I swear the opening crawl said they were called Deadites. But the red like fleshy things, they never quite looked right to me. The intro sequence, I didn't quite buy that. I was kind of worried by the movie when it started off with that, because it seemed very clear they were covering up budget deficiencies and just kind of trying to make do with what they had. And yeah, the sword to me is another cheapness casualty. Not the end of the world. There is other stuff going on, so it's fine. But those are some things to me where the movie has to skate by on just trying its best instead of having a completely convincing world. I also don't think that the locations our characters go between, like the discrete kind of setups and battles and stuff like that, it never feels to me like the world is all that big. It just kind of feels like they're going from, a place to place within the same forest, and I guess they kind of are. So maybe that's a stupid thing to hold against the movie. But I mean, this is maybe a whole planet, maybe a whole country, and it just doesn't feel all that big to me. Small point, but it was still something I was thinking about. And of course, the best sequence in the movie is defeating the swamp people. Set up really well. It's a great reversal of expectations. Great comedic resolution. The way they reincorporate them, of course, for the reviving is awesome. So I would recommend Deathstalker. I think it's a lot of fun. I certainly liked it more than I expected to, because this is not usually the kind of movie I would enjoy that much. Happy to recommend it. And I think it's cool that Sword and Sorcery is still being made, and I hope it continues to be made.